All right, guys, we're going to go through the CBA 5 review. We went through it in class, or tried to, but this is me actually working it out, and I'm going to do the best I can with it. You need to pay attention to what the question is asking. Each question is asking you. Notice here in the first question, it says, what are the equation, or what is the equation and slope of the line? Okay, so first thing, we want the equation. Second thing we want is the slope. Okay, if you look here, this is a vertical line here. But what you also have to note is that this vertical line, all right, this is a vertical line. But what you have to note is that this vertical line is passing through the x-axis. See how it says x? That means it's passing through the x-axis. It's passing at 6. Therefore, the equation that we want to write for this line is x equals 6. And we're going to write that right here on the line. Now, when we talk about the slope, this line clearly, a vertical line, it clearly has a slope. But that slope is the steepest of the steep, right? So steep that you can't climb up a wall that's straight up and down. So the slope is undefined. So that's what we circle. Also, because the equation is x equals, that's telling us that the slope is undefined. So remember that. And number 2 is the same thing, is asking for the equation and the slope. But this time it is giving us a horizontal line, okay? It's a horizontal line. This horizontal line is passing through the y-axis. Therefore, our equation is going to be y equals, right? And it's also passing at -6. Therefore, our equation is y equals -6. Horizontal line does not have a slope. It's flat. Therefore, the slope is 0. When we look at number 3, it says, what is the equation, right? So all of these are just writing equations, but it gives us a point, -2, 7, and it says it has a slope of 0. The fact that it gives us a point and a slope, that means we should use point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? So now that we know our point is -2, 7, realize that x1 is going to be -2, y1 is going to be 7, and our slope, m, is 0. So we just have to fill all of that in right here. We have to fill all that in right here, and right here, okay? All right, so this becomes y minus our y1, which is 7, equals our slope, which is 0, times x plus 2. 0 times x plus 2 is just 0, so this becomes y minus 7 equals 0. Add 7 to each side, and we have y is equal to 7 is our equation, which gives us D. All right, I would be using different color pencils or all that, but I don't have the time, so here we go. Number 4 says, what is the equation? See, still wants the equation of a line that is parallel to the x-axis. So that's important. That's telling us something about the slope. It's also telling us something about the equation, right? Same as we did before. And there's 3 units below the x-axis. What I recommend here is that you draw the x and y axis, right? And now I am going to choose a different color because I think it is worth doing. If we look here, it says it's parallel to the x-axis. That means it's going to be a horizontal line, right? Because look up here. Up here, this was a horizontal line. And it's parallel to the x-axis, meaning it does not intersect with the x-axis. So we're going to have the same type of line. But this time, the information it gives us is that this line is 3 units below the x-axis, meaning it crosses at y equals -3. So go down 3 units from the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, draw your line. And this is our line. So the equation, y equals -3, since it goes through the y-axis at -3. So that's actually our answer right here. Y equals -3. Okay. Now for number 5, something very similar. It says write an equation that describes a horizontal line. Well, that's kind of what we've been doing, right? Y equals some number. So you need to just choose a number, any number. and write it. So maybe you want to write y equals 10. That's your example, and that's okay. For number 6, it says line N and point P are shown on the coordinate plane. What is the equation of the line parallel to N that passes through the point P? And that may sound like a lot, so let's take it in pieces. Number 1, it's asking for an equation that is parallel to N. What is N? Where is N? That's right here. To be parallel means that we need to be looking at the same slope. Right? So same slope. How do we find the slope of this line? We can do it a couple of ways, but one of the easiest ways to do it is to look at 2 points on here. So 2 easy points is this point 0, 6, and this point right here, which is 2, 0. Put it in a table. All right, and from here, you can find the slope. You can do this in the calculator. As a matter of fact, I suggest it because you guys like it. So you can always use stat to find the slope, right? So this would go in L1 and this would go in L2. Or you can just remember that slope is just change in y divided by the change in x. So change in y here is -6. And change in x here is +2. So for our slope, -6 divided by +2 is -3. So that's the slope. -3. Right? So we know the slope of the new line is going to be -3. And we know that the new line is going to pass through P. Now, P has a point of, let's see, -3 for x and 3 for y. So that means x1 is -3, y1 is 3. Since we have our slope and our point, we can plug this into point slope. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So this would be y minus 3 equals -3 times x minus, or plus, because it's double negative there, 3. Do some distributing here. Bring down the y minus 3, and this is -3x minus 9. Add 3 to each side. And we have y equals -3x minus 6. And that's our equation that passes through the point -3, 3, and is parallel to this one as well. And we could actually plot it if we wanted to, but no need. All right, feel free to use this link here to learn a little bit more about writing equations for parallel and perpendicular lines. We're going to go to number 7. Number 7 is similar to what we just did. We have to write an equation, right? In standard form that passes through the point, all right, keyword point, right? 6, -1, and is parallel, meaning same slope, as 8x plus 3y equals 15. So we got a bit of information here. The first information we have is that our x1 is 6 and our y1 is -1. The second bit of information, it says it's parallel, means it's going to have the same slope as this equation right here. But we just have to figure out what's the slope of it. And it's not too easy. Well, it could be, if you remember that the slope of standard form, because that's what this is, 8x plus 3y equals 15 is in standard form. You have to remember, to find the slope, you take -a and divide it by b. Now, when you look at that, remember standard form is ax plus by equals c. So that's 8x plus 3y equals 15. So here, a is 8, b is 3. So that is -8 divided by 3. Since we know the future line will also have a slope of -8 over 3, since it's parallel to this equation, we got our slope. Now it's just about plugging it into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Don't forget, we already have our x1, y1. We just have to plug it in. And then we have our slope, negative 8 over 3. So it's just about plugging. Y minus negative 1, remember that just means plus 1, equals negative 8 over 3 times x minus 6. Do some distributing here. And this is y plus 1 equals negative 8 over 3x. Negative 8 over 3 times negative 6 becomes positive 16, I believe. Yes. Subtract 1 from each side here. And this cancels, and we're left with y equals negative 8 over 3x plus 15. We said we wanted in standard form. Look at how the answer choices are in standard form. So we got a little more work to do here. First thing is we don't need a fraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to come and multiply each one of these terms times the denominator 3 to get rid of the fraction. And you can do this in your calculator. 3 times y is 3y. Negative 8 over 3x times 3. The 3's cancel. You have negative 8x. And then 15 times 3 is 45. Add 8x to each side. And we have 8x plus 3y equals 45. And that's it, y'all. That is C. All right, number 8, very similar to the last one, except this time we're writing an equation in slope-intercept form, so not too much work. But we're given that the point is going to be 5, 0, so x1 is 5, y1 is 0. And it says it's parallel to this. What does that mean? It's going to have the same slope as this one. So our slope m is going to be equal to 1.2. Plug that into your point slope form. And that'll be y minus 0 equals 1.2 times x minus 5. We're going to do some distributing here, right? So that's 1.2x. 1.2 times 5 is 6. And here's our answer, which is A. With number 9, it says, what is the equation in slope-intercept form, right? Of the line that crosses the x-axis at 36. To cross the x-axis at 36 means it's the x-intercept or an x-intercept. And so 36, 0 is the point. That means our x1 is 36 and our y1 is 0. And it is perpendicular. So that's talking about slope, perpendicular to this here. That doesn't mean it's the same slope. This time the slope is opposite sign, right? And reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal means to flip the fraction. So m equals, instead of negative, is positive. And instead of 4 over 9, it's 9 over 4. And all we got to do is plug this. See how we got to know this point slope form. Put it in here, right? So that's y minus 0 equals 9 over 4 times x minus 36. Got to do some multiplying, but you got your calculator to help you. Y equals 9 over 4. X minus 9 over 4 times 36 is 81. And that's our answer, which is J. It says, what is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point? Right? Same type of thing, y'all. Passes through a point, write an equation. So if it passes through this point, that means x1 is 2, y1 is negative 2. And it says it is perpendicular. That means opposite reciprocal. So therefore, we know that our slope here is going to change. It's going to be, instead of it being positive, it's going to be negative. And instead of 2 over 5, 5 over 2. From here, plug it in. So that's y minus or plus 2 equals negative 5 over 2 times x minus 2. From here, you got to do some distributing, negative 5 over 2 inside. And that's y plus 2 equals negative 5 over 2x. Negative 5 over 2 times negative 2 is just plus 5. Subtract 2 from each side here. We have y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 3. And that's D. Write the equation of the line shown on the grid. What is the relationship? All right, y'all, this is a horizontal line passing through. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. All right, here we go. This horizontal line is passing through the y-axis. Therefore, the equation has to be y equals, right? It's in between 2 and 3. So my guess is that the equation is y equals 2.5. Right? What is its relationship to the x-axis? Is clearly parallel because they don't intersect. So the equation y equals 2.5. And it is parallel to the x-axis. Okay? When we look at 12 here, what I want you to notice is, number 1, it gives us f of x equals x. That's the parent function. And now the new line is formed by changing the slope to 2 over 3 and the y-intercept to 4. We got slope and y-intercept. That's not point slope, but that is slope-intercept. So we can write the slope-intercept form here. Y equals 2 over 3x plus 4. Now, when we talk about plus 4, we should automatically remember no parentheses or anything. That's just up 4. So we should go ahead and eliminate anything that says down. So it says the y-intercept has been translated down, not. Translated up, maybe. Up, maybe. Down, no. All right, now we got to deal with the 2/3. What we said was, when we did the rule of transformations, we said if we have a times f of x and a is in between 0 and 1, meaning like fraction, then we said it is less steep. But y'all got to remember that. So that means our answer is B. Now, when we look at 13 here, it says, which graph best represents h of x equals negative f of x plus 3. It says that the linear parent function f. So parent function, that's telling us that our parent function is the f of x equals x, okay? And this is the transformation right here. So what do we know about the transformation? There's a negative. Negative means reflection. So no longer positive, negative. And this plus 3 means up 3, right? So we got to go through all these graphs, and I would just go ahead and see which one has been translated up 3, because that's easy to do. This one has, this one hasn't, this one has, and this one hasn't. Right? They also gave us the parent function here. I failed to kind of point that out, but they gave us that as a guide. So what is the negative? That means instead of it being a positive slope, it needs to be negative. F or G has a negative slope. Yep, it's G. So that's the answer. Now for 14, it says a student graphed f of x equals x and g of x equals f of x plus 3. Plus 3, y'all, what does that mean? Yes, it means we've gone up. Now, which one of these talking about up? Only A, because the rest of them talking about steeper, less steep, and down. That's not it. All right, 15. What is, okay, the graph of the linear function h is shown on the grid. Here's the grid. Given f of x equals x, that means the parent function, h of x is equal to a times f of x. What is the value of a? Well, if we substitute for f of x, this equation becomes h of x is equal to ax, right? Remember the whole y equals mx plus b? What does that mean? A is just the slope. So we got to find the slope of this line. We can do that a couple of ways. We can count up and right to see how much it's going to take to go from the origin. Uh-oh, wrong one. But the origin to this line. Let me erase that. Right? And so we clearly went up 8, right 10. So the slope is up or rise over run 10. If you put that in your calculator and simplify, it's going to be 4 over 5 or 0.8. What that mean? That A is 0.8 or 4 over 5. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, you can always use your graphing calculator. Put these 2 points they gave you in the table. So starting with the leftmost point, -5, -4. And then plug in 10, 8. And then what happens from here? Go to stat, right? Enter, right? And then in L1, plug in your X. L2, plug in your Y. Then go to stat, calc, 4. And it's going to tell you A is equal to 0.8, which confirms what we've already said, that A is 0.8. For 16, says which function is best represented by the graph of G. They gave us the parent function, or both of the functions here. You want to note that this F is definitely the parent function because it goes through the origin from corner to corner. So that's the parent. And look at what's happened to G. G has not shifted up nor down, right? It has not shifted up nor down. But it has gotten closer to the x-axis, which means it is less steep, right? The fact that we know it hasn't shifted up or down means we can eliminate A and C. Less steep means less than 1. Like that. All right. So that means it's not greater than 1. So D's out of the running. And the answer has to be B. All right. We already did 17. 18, it says if f of x equals x, remember that's the parent, and g of x is equal to f of x plus 2, remember parentheses. Anytime you see parentheses, you need to think left and right. Okay. So it says, which of the following best describes the graph of y equals g of x? I already said think left and right, but when you think plus 2 and you want to say that means right, say the opposite, right? So that means it's actually going left 2. How can we confirm this? By just plugging in your calculator x plus 2 and see which way it goes. All right. And if it were minus 2, then you would know it would go right. So here, which one is going to work for us? It is 2 units to the right of f of x. It has a slope that's double, meaning 2x. It has a slope that's half, meaning 1/2 x. It says it is 2 units to the left of the graph. Yes, we said think opposite, right? Left. So this means left. So the answer is D. For 19, it says, what is the value of H? They gave us this graph. Look right here, right? Now it says f of x plus h like this. Since it's gone to the right, that means that this is going to be f of x minus h. Technically, I think this is a typo here, right? And it went to the right, so that means this is going to be f of x minus 5, and our h is 5. I know you want to say -5, but remember this is a built-in negative. So h is actually just 5, okay? Just 5. For 20, it says which of the following is true? We got 2 graphs here. Remember, this is the parent because it's going from corner to corner and directly through the origin. And this is the transformation. It's actually just like the previous one. Notice how it went right 5. So you have to look at these different equations and say which one means right 5. And it's the opposite of what you think. You may want to say, oh, it's C because it's plus 5. It's not. It's B because it's the opposite of what you think. I hope this helped. Please study. See you tomorrow.